2017 and early 18, I spent a lot of time training just conventional. When I was doing that, I did a lot of pause deadlifts, which I like for building just time under tension and building a lot of muscle mass in the back. I did a lot of bent over rows, and as always, I always do a lot of deficit pulls and a lot of deficit stiff legs and some good mornings. For sumo, I mean, I do sumo pulls from the floor and from blocks, and then I do all the same conventional. I usually just don't have heavy ones off the floor if I'm doing the sumo pulls heavy. So a lot of times it'll be deficit pulls, stiff legs, and good mornings. They're all still there. A lot of, and I think of bent over rows as more of like a lower back exercise, like not so much of like a lat exercise, but more just like a direct deadlift assistance exercise. So all the same things are just building up back strength, whether it was training for sumo or for conventional. I think that's
yeah.
That's kind of the simple thing for anyone to take away. It's like sumo is not an excuse to avoid a lot of conventional deadlifting. That's a bad approach, I think.
Yeah, the conventional can work the back.
I mean,
which is the prime driver of everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing like 3 days a week training back. Once maybe stiff legs or good mornings, once doing a lot of bent over rows. Then the heavy day, I'm actually deadlifting, and that's really the only day if I was training sumo that I would be doing the sumo pulls. So
let's talk more about that, because I do feel the back is the engine of the power lifter. You can almost not train everything else, but just pound the shit out of your back 4 times a week and still be strong. So how often do you guys address your back, and from what angles? And like, do you do vertical rows and horizontal rows on the same day? Or the face pulls and stuff like that, would you consider that back, or is that more shoulder crap? Where's all that fit in?
So for me, as far as the whole range of the back, like with good mornings, I find benefit in doing both. Sometimes a barbell good morning where the stress is on kind of a low bar position, but the safety bar is also really good because it puts it higher. It just makes it a lot harder, and you have to really keep your thoracic spine tense for that. I like the basics, so barbell bent over rows, dumbbell rows, pull-ups. Those are kind of my 3 staples. And I usually train upper body twice a week, and so on both of those upper body days, I'll do upper back training of some sort, and I'll usually do at least 1 horizontal pull and 1 vertical pull.
Same.
I used to basically train like rows or pull-ups every workout. So this could be like 5 or 6 times a week. That worked really well to build up kind of like upper back strength and, lats and traps and stuff. But I think what I think about, is trying to build up my deadlift. I have, like, after my squat days on Monday, I'll do some kind of, like I said, either good mornings or stiff leg deadlifts. On Tuesday, I would come back and either I would do like basically a bodybuilding back day, but starting either with heavy bent over rows or heavy T-bar rows. The one I have is kind of like a T-bar chest supported row, but it really puts a lot of stress on the mid and upper back. And then on Friday, I deadlift. And so that's where I'm either doing some really heavy lifts plus some volume, or I'm just, like if I did the pause deadlifts, that's just building up a lot of volume. So I'm getting and the way I look at it is this kind of like, the heavy, light, medium, or the DUP style, where, on Monday I'm doing good mornings or stiff legs. These are like moderately heavy weights. If a good morning is like 400 plus pounds, or a stiff leg deadlift is 500 to 600, or maybe a little higher, versus a deadlift, which might be over 700 pounds, there's a relative, scale there. And then when I do the bent over rows, I mean, that's going to be like right around 400 pounds, maybe a little higher, maybe a little bit lower. So that's like the lightest lower back workout. So I'm hitting the lower back for the deadlifting, up to 3 times a week like that. We're even sometimes doing like 2 real deadlifting workouts in a week, plus stiff legs. So I like to train like deadlifting specific exercises 2 to 3 times a week. But as far as doing like pull-ups and rows, I think kind of just the more the better with those ones. When I was saying now on a Tuesday workout, I'll kind of do like a bodybuilding day. The first exercise is heavy, but then I'm doing pull-ups or pull-downs or cable rows things where I can just add in a lot of reps and stuff and just.
Have you found once you're acclimated to that it's really hard to make yourself sore if you're training auxiliary back work?
The one thing I think about that's important with that is kind of one that each lift that you're kind of proficient in gives you a new tool where you can then kind of more to the point have enough variation in. I mean, because they're kind of boring exercises to do a bunch of like 4 sets of 10 on the rows, or it's boring and it takes a lot of motivation to like push yourself to do it. But I think it's it's important, and so that's where I like to like vary it. I'm not doing the same. Like the simpler the exercise, the more variation you need to kind of cycle through. So I just have sort of I have pull-ups with different grips, pull-ups with weights, dumbbell one-arm rows, dumbbell chest supported rows, the T-bar chest supported rows, bent over rows with the bar. So I have a good sort of number of exercises in the arsenal. That way I don't have to like constantly do the same thing over and over again. They all kind of target the same thing though.
Yeah.
And then with each one of those, you can add in the variation of with or without straps. So I rarely use straps, but it's every now and then I'll do it if I really want to just focus on, the mind-muscle connection with my back. And as you asked, my upper back, if I train it frequently enough, I don't really feel sore in it anymore. The lower back or the spinal erectors, I can still feel some soreness in those, but just because of the higher load, I think, from squats and deadlifts. And one other thing I keep in mind with back training is I think you can do it pretty frequently, but I will try not to do it within 1 to 2 days at least of if I'm going to have a big deadlift workout, because I want to have my back pretty fresh for deadlifting, being that's such an important lift to me.
You said something that stuck out to me. I want to circle back to it a little bit. You said on the days that you use the straps, you do that to work on the mind-muscle connection a little more. So you're not putting the straps on to lift more weight. You're putting the straps on to be able to feel your back more.
Both. Yeah,
Okay.
actually both. Yeah. So like with bent over rows, I can go heavier because then it takes out the grip limiting factor. But some other things, it's kind of simultaneous, because at the same time, if I'm not thinking about gripping the bar, I'm just thinking about pulling my elbows towards the ceiling if it's a row, and just really just focusing on my lats and rhomboids and all that.
I think it's an important thing to put out there for the listeners, viewers, or however they're seeing this to really understand, is because the back is it's not like your biceps or your chest. It's not like something that's really easy to start training and feel. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time to be able to isolate, feel your lats, so using the straps is an interesting way. It's actually a good way, if you think about it, to where if you're a beginner or a newbie, to take the grip out of it and to focus more on the things that you're talking about, driving the elbows back and that kind of stuff, so they can actually train their lats instead of shrug bicep combo.
Yeah.
Which is what it is.
Shrug hammer curl. Yeah.